All right, so we are starting off the night with some Soraka Fiora. Fiora, very powerful champion that allows you to control the board with her Challenger mechanic. So 3-3, and Challenger allows you to force things to block her. And then she levels when she's killed 2 enemy units. Her leveled mode gets a little bit bigger, retains Challenger, and then says, when I've killed 4 enemies and survived, you win the game outright. So alt win con, in addition to being a decent mid-range aggressive threat that helps you keep the board in check. She pairs very nicely with something like Soraka that allows her to be healed. We've got tools like Sunblessed Vigor, Prismatic Barrier, Mentor of the Stones, Pale Cascade, Guiding Touch to heal up. Lots of great tools to keep her alive. Now, one concern I have looking at this deck list based on the submission is that there's only 16 units overall in this deck as submitted. I feel like there's a pretty good chance that that's on the low side. One thing that specifically jumps out to my mind is that the copies of Starspring in here, I think, are probably a little bit out of place. I know these obviously have some synergy with Soraka and being able to trigger your life gain with this, but I feel like the number of units we have is probably too low to leverage that consistently. So I think if we start off playing some games and feel like that we're a little bit unit light, I'm probably going to start by shaving our Star Springs in order to fit some more units into the deck. So let's go ahead and dive on into some games here with this and see how it goes. Zard Knox, thank you for the 15 months. I really appreciate that. Welcome back. All right, we have some decent cards here to start. Honestly, this whole hand seems kind of good. I've got Fiora into Laron Bladekeeper as a way to power her up permanently. We've got Soraka to heal her up. We've got single combat here to answer a Twisted Fate or Kalista. I think this is a Go Hard Twisted Fate variation. I've seen some people talking about playing Kalista in that deck instead of Elise. Poor sad little Oompa.
The dead don't need riches.
Evening, Cody. Get to bank some spell mana here.
They would fall by my blade.
So get in with Fiora's Challenger on their 2-2 here. Fiora, along with all the healing, should be pretty good against the opponent's archetype. They tend to have a lot of smaller units.
For the honor, try me.
So there is 1 out of 4, 1 out of 2 towards leveling up. If they have a way to deal damage here, we get to heal in response with these, which is nice. That is a regular riposte, not a Fiora's riposte. We'll see if they have a second copy of Go Hard here, or if she's going to get to live. No second Go Hard, seems good for us. So this turn, I probably want to play out a 3-drop so I can also Guiding Touch her potentially, should they have another piece of direct damage.
You'll fight or you'll swim.
I'm going to go ahead and play Soraka here, as she blocks these 3-1s pretty profitably, and then I get to open attacks next turn with her. Does my chat have an issue tonight, or is everybody just real quiet? How's everybody doing?
Starlight. Oh God. Take heart.
I saw Cody's message, but I've not seen anyone other than what Cody posted to start. Just quiet? Alright, good.
Too easy.
Alright, well, things are going according to plan here, I think you could say. I'm going to go ahead and just play Laron Bladekeeper here, make Fiora larger. We've got some healing for her. We've got a barrier and a bastion. We've got a single combat here. Everyone's watching AFC. That makes sense. That makes sense. She's doing her Among Us thing tonight. I did see that on the Twitters. I assume this game is over at this point with the Bastion and the Barrier and the single combat.
I've whipped up something special.
Just passing here at this point. They need to do a lot to take this off the table. We're at 18, so
For silver I talk, for gold I listen.
they're down to 5 mana now. If I play this, I still have 6.
Gems are superb. Bad for the teeth, though.
Bad for the teeth, though. That's right. Maybe I should just proactively Bastion her instead of playing out the rat. You can see that going either way. Now that's definitely happening. And then I'm pretty sure I want to hook a larger unit with her.
Try me.
Is that way they can't just Wild Beast it to kill it? This will get her to 3, and then this single combat could potentially be lethal on command. So they just like tap out at any point, they lose.
Deal me in.
They could have a glimpse here. Is a card they definitely play. Still, thinking Twisted Fate out of play is good. Well, my Fiora deck seems to be good when we draw Fiora, chat. Seems like a good basic assumption to make. It really is, Tom. The Dead Sea, thank you for the 11 months. Really appreciate the prime. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. I'm going to full mulligan these, looking for a Fiora. I'm going to keep this Reaching Dragon against Raven Ezreal. Yeah, Soraka's fine. I could see, I was talking about potentially wanting more units in this deck, and like, you know, the deck is at its best when we see Fiora. Playing Solari Priestess could be a card that this deck is interested in, because it has the 4-mana Invoke spell on occasion that lets you tutor up, a champion or in the stars.
To heal and protect.
The party has arrived.
Evening Fox. That's an interesting deal, too, when I have this sitting here. It's been good. We finished up Deus Ex this morning. That makes sense. Okay.
Stars.
That makes sense. I get to go Mentor into Screeching Dragon now, though. Maybe Goat into Dragon. Evening Can's right.
Let's do this.
turn, traveler. And stop staring.
Let's do this, see if we can get the dragon going here. Yeah, so Star Spring working out in practice about exactly how I expected it to in theory. Just not keeping anything in play, not having a lot of things with damage on them.
Let's boogie.
Feeling real awkward overall.
Now we're cooking.
A double goat here. And then we'll burn 1 mana, bank 1, and then we'll Screeching Dragon to start next turn. Perfect. It leaves us up exactly enough mana to Bastion this turn, which is great. Deal 1 to a unit. Sure. We can technically gem this to play around Strike, I suppose. Or Ravenous block.
This isn't part of the training.
Whirling Death me, baby. Do it. You know you want to. Alright, fingers crossed they don't have another way to hit this, huh? They have a Mystic Shot here or a Flock. We're in a little bit of trouble. I guess this isn't too bad, right? Because it prevents damage. Then this sets this for 4, and then these trade in combat. This is gonna level up, but it's dead. So like their next Draven's a bit scarier, but this one's gone at least. And again, seeing part of that issue I was talking about with Star Spring too, like not only do we not have a ton of units, but a lot of the units that we have just don't have a lot of life to them.
Out.
So these Star Springs have just been sitting around. I think I'm gonna for this game. I think the in practice is lined up with my theory about as expected. Addle do pig. He does in fact end it. All right, three units. What do I want them to be? I feel like rounding out the goat playset sounds good. Like it's so hard to like. So like one of the things you want to consider when you're playing a deck is your curve, generally speaking. And decks like this, it's hard to really evaluate the curve because of, you know, how many combat tricks that you have, right? So, like, you look at my curve here, and I'm at 16 twos, but, like, only 3 of those are proactive 2-drop, right? I actually think that Soraka is more than fine without... I really disagree with your statement, Precipic. I think that people have not explored this card enough on her own, and I think people put too much stock into these packages that they get caught up in. Like, I feel like Soraka's been treated like Shyvana in a lot of the same ways, because Shyvana gets shoehorned into these packages where there's a bunch of dragons around her that are bad when Shyvana can just be a self-enabling card. And Soraka works a lot in the same way in that she's a card that can literally just be self-enabling. Not to mention once you get in, you know, Guiding Touch, which is just a playable card, as well as things like Astral Projection. Yeah, especially without one drops. I agree. I'm actually not entirely convinced that Pale Cascade is better than... I'm not entirely convinced that Pale Cascade is better than Sharp Sight as far as combat tricks go. I agree, I would like some more chunky units. Screeching Dragon seems good from an interactive perspective. I kind of wouldn't mind some other things down low on the curve, though. Yeah, I think I like Cutting Barrier. I'm going to try splitting Sharp Sight and Pale Cascade for now, and I think I want another threat to go into here. Yeah, Broadback Protector could be it for sure. I could also just play like another cheap durable unit. Like, I'm a pretty big sucker for Egghead Researcher in general. It just like blocks early, wears combat tricks okay, generates you some value when it comes into play. So like something like that could be fine too. As just like a proactive 2 that's fine to play out. We could also just like play some more copies of Luran Protege. We could play some copies of Solari Priestess. Priestess might be better than Mentor of the Stones even too. I think I'm into a couple of Egghead. I feel like I want another proactive 2-drop that I can just like play out on turn 2 in the early game. Someone mentioned loving the creative decks. I can't take credit for most of these, so we're doing some tuning here on stream as we play, but this deck, like many of the decks that we play here, are viewer submissions. So shout out to the Hooglandia community, as always, for hooking us up with lots of awesome things to play. Is Broadback better than Stellacorn? I think Stellacorn is a super underplayed card. I actually think that card's very sweet. I think the stat line on it is reasonable, and being able to heal something like a Screeching Dragon or Fiora has a lot of upside. Yeah, that's another thing that's good about Egghead. Egghead is basically 2 units in 1. It's guaranteed to draw another unit. I think I'm full mulliganing, looking for some of our cheaper plays to start here against what's a control deck. Evening Crimson. Oh, poor Yeti. Don't cry, baby Yeti. Pick up. Give us something to do next turn at least. One of the things that's worth noting too about Soraka, and I think this is also part of the reason why Starspring is a little bit awkward, is the established Soraka deck in the format is paired with the Bilgewater self-damage cards, right? So in a deck like this, where we're not self-damaging, Soraka has a little bit of hard time having things to heal to get started. That's great, Todd. Yeah, I could see Broadback filling a similar role. You really see that being reasonable. With mine, actually, something that I had another viewer submit as an idea was Soraka could possibly be a card that pairs OK into Vlad. I could see being the case. I guess this attack's kind of free. I don't really mind if this gets damage marked on it.
Vi stands for violence.
I think we drop the dragon. If they want to play a card and pump this to 6 to attack in, we get to say Hush Little Vi. They could also be afraid of a Pale Cascade or a they could be afraid of a Pale Cascade or a so we're hooking that, eh? Do I keep Soraka alive here? I think we just let her die. I kind of want to save the Hush for a bigger play later. Like, what are we?
I can be patient.
I think I just let this happen because I need to kill this Vi. So I think the play for the Hush is to be able to hush this to eat it with the Screeching Dragon next turn. Can't play my opponent's cards. The heck I can't, Runeterra. And tell me how to live my life.
Enforcer down.
Let my stars guide all travelers onward.
Dragons, such fascinating creatures.
That's a good one. Probably just burning mana this turn. I don't think I want to proactively Bastion.
This world must burn. I have the scars to prove it.
We'll play this out because if they want to hook it, Pale Cascade makes them real sad. Instead of Pale Cascade, what if I just proactively Bastion here? I think I'm into that because it beats Hush. I guess this is much worse against Cascade of their own though, because then I'm down a Bastion. Oh gosh, it's also really bad against that. That's unfortunate. Yeah, I guess Bastion's a card they're pretty likely to play. It's a good pickup.
Save your worlds. We speak with blades.
We speak with blades.
I will cut you down. On guard.
On guard. Eat my 1/3 now. I think we're just playing Stellacorn out to heal the dragon. He's got a good number of cards in hand here still though, and we're mostly spent at this point. Huh? Try and wipe this out before it gets too big too. They're still gonna have everything else they have, +2/+2. This could also, if this is their only Celestial, this could counter this effect altogether. This depends on beholding a Celestial card, which checks on when you play it and upon resolution. So if this happens, and I don't think, actually they might not have another one, right? Because this was Star Shaping, and this was Traveler, and Traveler was Solari Priestess, so I believe this fizzles. Yeah, nice.
Mystical levitation requires concentration.
Here comes the punchline. Hit 'em where trouble coming at ya.
Okay. So losing Fiora, but these trade at least. Open on Screecher and see what they play here.
These springs are for healing, not swimming.
Celestial power.
I think we just do this before they have the ability to block this. Like second Pale Cascade here. Maybe a Mystic Shot. Double Cascade's pretty good. So, again, a little bit ahead on board here, but behind on cards in hand by a pretty significant margin.
What seems to be the problem?
Yet they play out a few spells here. I don't have any possible response to anything here, so I'm actually going to run to the rest really quick.
The only holiday worth celebrating. Rise, my creation. Why does the chair always drop? That's fine. We weren't blocking that anyways, right? Well, we're definitely eating Heimer, right? I guess the question is, am I pumping this? What is pumping this play around? Is it anything? Hey, thanks for the biddies, land. Then I'll get that added. Get excited, Mystic Shot. Okay, yeah, that's good. That's probably worthwhile.
Floaty crystals.
And actually, let's do this, because if they eat this here, this way we get through for 4. We're gonna quickly fall behind on board now. We don't really have a catch-up mechanic in our deck, so I assume this one's gonna spiral on us pretty quickly from here. So we've got Soraka here now, But again, we notably don't really have things that we can heal. So like, I can gem this up once, but that'll only be the second time we've healed. Definitely feel like we're struggling to enable this as a card at the moment. Gemming this not only triggers this, but threatens to let us, I guess we were trading there anyways, right? It's got it down to 5. Maybe using that gem is wrong. Getting the Soraka trigger feels good though.
One girl wrecking crew.
Bastion's not bad. Bastion means that this can eat the T-Hex. They can make everything 8/5s or whatever.
Eat this.
It's their third buy. It is their third buy. So if they have any other quick or burst speed card here, they kill my dragon, obviously, but I feel like I have to make them have it here because I'm kind of all in on this dragon. It's like our last meaningful resource, so unfortunately that gives Vi the 9th point of power, so these are just going to end up trading here, but that's what it is.
Down.
Their way is unclear.
Okay, so something we've done in the past is play... I feel like, one, I want to source a card advantage as we go along. I feel like some number of Dragon's Clutches could be good. Probably not all 3. What's a second dragon we want? So we're playing Screeching Dragon. Is it just the Infinite Mind Splitter as the second? I kind of like Mind Splitter because Fiora gives us a really nice angle of attack to deal with little things, and Mind Splitter gives us a nice angle of attack to deal with things that Fiora is not big enough to chew up and spit out, right? There's also, in any of these fill this robe, this also gives us another chunky body that we can heal with Soraka, which is nice. So, the problem with Aesol Eclipse is that I have to give up Screeching Dragon, and I do think Screeching Dragon is kind of like on par for what this deck is looking to do. Which is why I want to add a second dragon so we can Screeching Dragon more consistently. It's also, we're at 19 units, and these are like virtual units because they draw us units guaranteed, so it's like 21 units. Like I said, I think I like Mind Splitter because Mind Splitter is a pseudo answer to really large units. What problem do we have that Random Judgment fixes, Booger Man? So right now, I can't think of any. So I know what Judgment does. I know it randomly blows people out. But, like, what matchup do I think is hard that makes that card fixes? I'm realizing I left my glasses in the bathroom. God bless having a bathroom on every floor of the house. Alright, Heimerdinger take 2. This time with 100% more Mind Splitter Dragon. So again, Boogerman, I understand the card text on Judgment. So if you look at the card rec command there, that's what I'm looking for. So there's always lots of cards that you could put into a given deck, and you need to have a way to narrow down which cards are good to put into a deck and which cards are bad to put into a deck. So generally speaking, it's my opinion that the best way to narrow down decisions like that
I am here to help.
is by identifying problems and then trying to find solutions to those problems. I don't think random extra win con with Fiora is a problem that we have at the moment. At least this finds us a Screecher for next turn. Remember that always draws 2 different dragons, so it's guaranteed to get a Screecher plus Splitter. Yeah, our deck in general is spell heavy, and we're actually 3 spells lighter than the original submission was at this point.
I'm doing this my way.
Yeah, that is, how do you report usernames in this game? That's something we could do, right?
Strength in grace, beauty in the blade.
Protect the stars.
Freeze!
So, she's got tough. I think I'm gonna go ahead and Fiora here and then Bastion her. And then she'll take 3. Well, I guess I'm gonna get Pale Cascaded and be real sad. Yeah, trying to work within the confines of whatever the initial submission was is always the challenge. Press pick. We're gonna be dead, right? We're not quite dead. Technically not dead to open attacks because I'll get to Guiding Touch to heal up.
We mustn't linger.
Bastion's actually felt incredibly mediocre so far. It's basically just been like an expensive glorified combat trick. Obviously we haven't played against like any decks with Vengeance in them yet, where that card really shines. I am on board for increasing unit counts. I'm just not sure where we want to end up at yet. We're already up 5 units from the original submission. The original submission had 16 units. We're up to 21. Counting Asterisk, counting Dragon's Clutches as units. How does this game compare to Magic the Gathering? The best way I can describe Legends of Runeterra is it's like the creators of this game looked at every awful thing that every other card game, Magic, Hearthstone, and otherwise has done from ever, and they took the good parts of everything and they got rid of literally all of the bad parts. If I was to say, if you were to ask me the question, well, Jeff, it can't all be sunny and roses. What is? It has its own bad parts. The literal only bad thing I have to say about Runeterra currently is that it is a newer card game still, and the card pool is currently small. I think the core rules engine that Runeterra operates on is the best rules engine of any card game I've ever played. It is very, very, very well done. I don't want to attack into their 1-2 here, because then they can trade with their 2-1 next turn freely. It's not great for us.
I am one with the land.
Pass just for gameplay, Zombers. That's not gameplay, Twin. That is client, and that is different. I agree the deck builder needs improvements. Runeterra also has the best free-to-play and the best pay-to-play economy of any card game, any digital card game ever made.
You're covered.
If you're someone inclined to spend money on the digital card games that you play, you can literally buy any deck outright for less than 30 bucks. There's no random card packs. You literally just spend money and buy exactly the cards you want. It's a great system. Free to playing is viable though. I don't free to play any games, so I can't speak to it personally, but there's people in chat that'll tell you about it. They have a YouTube video explaining the boards and turns and stuff. So I don't explicitly, and honestly, the reason why I don't is because I genuinely don't think I could do a better job, or anyone could do a better job than just the default Runeterra tutorial. Like, in line with them doing everything else right, their in-game tutorial might honestly be the best tutorial of just any game I've ever played, not even just card game. It does a great job of teaching you the basics, and then also has a series of optional puzzles afterwards that teach you the ins and outs of all the individual keywords and mechanics and priorities. If you've ever seen like the Possibility Storm puzzles for Magic, or What's the Playstyle puzzles for other card games, they basically have a bunch of those in client, and they add more to them every time they release new cards with new mechanics. So, like, they understand that, like, that's a key part of their game, and they keep it up to date. It's probably a riposte here, I imagine. The question is, where do they want to use it? Concerted Strike on there. Yeah, that's fine, right? I also understand that when I give my Runeterra sales pitch like that, it definitely sounds too good to be true, and my best advice is it's free on Android, iOS, and PC. Just install it. Just install it and try for yourself. Don't take my word for it.
What is this?
I've never touched Fiora, no. It's one of the many indie games I haven't had the time to poke at. Are we doing this? I think we're doing this, right?
This is supposed to be a challenge.
So this heals it and then bumps her up. She's gonna go to 7 toughness. This might be wrong. She dies to riposte. Maybe I'm supposed to put this over here instead. So they didn't kill my Fiora with that at least, so we've got that going for us. I think we play the goat here. We get to bank 1 mana this turn, and then we go up to 6, so I can play Screeching Dragon plus Vigor next turn. This trade's like, we're not happy about it, but I'm also like not super mad. I've got plenty of threats in my hand. We're a little bit behind on life total, but this dragon's hopefully going to catch us up on board real quick. My bastions have been bad Sunblessed Vigors for the most part. That is an accurate statement. This is a great draw, because it means if they have a barrier for this, I can still kill it. I don't want to attack my goat into that, do I? So.
It must be done.
Nature blesses her followers.
We walk
So,
between realms.
I never get tired of talking about how great Runeterra is. So, I don't even have to tell you, you don't even have to guess, Elguy. One of the many amazing things Runeterra has done is it's gotten rid of all of the predatory bullshit you're used to with other digital card games. I don't have to estimate how much it will cost you to get into Runeterra. I can just tell you outright that for $25 to $30, you can build any tiered deck in the game, or you can get a tiered deck free to playing over the course of a couple of weeks. They've created this really novel concept where you give them money and they give you exactly the thing you want for your money. And it is such shit that is novel and not the norm in this industry, but it isn't. And it's great that Runeterra has broken that norm. So, Mind Splitter comes down here, so these are going to be stunned every turn for the rest of the game. If they have a rally here, we could be in trouble. If they get to attack with these this turn, they could get us. Okay, yep.
Blesses her followers.
That's great.
Always 2 steps ahead.
I think I'm just gonna dragon, because I have like single combat plus vigor here still. We have a total of 9. I would highly recommend that if you are someone who loves card games, that you give Runeterra a try.
Nature blesses her followers.
Alright, and then... do I even open attacks here? It might be right to develop. Nah, I'm just gonna open attacks. We have a pretty solid hit to start. Yeah, my number 1 piece of advice is, if you're interested in getting started, just
They are needed.
look through, play through the tutorial to start, and then just hang out and stream just like any other game.
Nature blesses her followers.
Hey, thanks for the support though, guy. I really appreciate it. Welcome back. It's good to have you here. Alright, so Fiora got a barrier here. I think I want to single... This dragon's gonna die anyways, so I'm gonna single combat these to break the barriers. That way these trade in combat. I think this is fine. They're gonna take 15 here. Deny, sure. This also isn't even that really big of a deal, because like I have another Mind Splitter in hand.
Form will the waters take?
So like I get to play this and stun both of these.
Rivers shape the land and give it life.
Nature blesses her followers.
And since you re-up the sub L guide too, if you're looking for a place to chat about Runeterra, remember we have our wonderful Discord server, and there's a super active Runeterra community among lots of other games in there too. If you're one of the wonderful folks that supports my content, be sure to pop on in there and chat with us. If you're someone that's not subbed and would like to pick my brain on occasion too, I also make a point to always read comments that are left on my YouTube channel, so that's a great way to get access to me personally.
A gift from the river folk.
Good thing. It's a good thing I brought my backup Mind Splitter. Well, that's just rude.
This will be quick.
You're in over your head. What form will the waters take?
Yeah, I'm not... The Soraka part of this deck has definitely felt pretty mess so far. I'm inclined to agree with that. Adding some fatty boom boom dragons to the top was good though. Some minds were split. Boramins, thanks for the follow. I really appreciate that. Welcome to Hooglandia. This is the same person. Yeah. I remember by the username. I took a screenshot to remember to report it. Full mulligan. Soraka's definitely not good in our opener. If she's good later. So, we started with Starspring in the deck, Rothan. The problem is that, like, unlike Soraka Kench, our deck doesn't have a bunch of units that hurt themselves early, and we don't have that many high toughness things that we need to be healing constantly.
Every step, a new journey.
Why do they have to get reported? Well, you can read their name. I think I'm just playing this out as board presence.
For the honor of my house.
It's a permanent bonus. This will be a 3/8 forever now. And again, like, I've got Soraka down. I've got like, I just don't have anything to heal with her at the moment. She's just like a chunky gal, though. One could argue she now makes the rocket world go round. I think I'm just burning their mana here.
I'm doing this my way.
Hush, little Vi, now don't say a word.
Trouble coming at ya!
Coming at ya. Sure. That taking 1 point of damage here means that Screecher gets to kill this turn, which is great. Oh, you know what? Maybe I'm supposed to play that since we drew it. I do try to fit those in where I can, Clark. Be very quiet. We're hunting violence. That's true. We do have a lot of tricks that we could leverage here, potentially. So, Hush silences her, so it gets rid of her tough, as well as her attack bonus for the turn. So, very good for my hungry dragon to eat her up. Do we just Blade Keeper this? Most of their damage is removal based, right? I'm gonna start with Egghead Researcher and see what we generate.
Something of an aspiring trichologist.
The downside to going all in on this is they have copies of Hush as well.
Laurents are bound with blades in hand.
I am not a 510. I am a US dollar sign 10. Because for $10, I would love to play your sweet Runeterra deck on stream. You can find out more by submitting a deck on my website here. If I pass, they could burn my mana. I think I'm okay with that, though. I get to bank 2 of it.
I've got it.
Okay, with that play, we'll drop the dragon. With 3 mana, I'm not too worried about them having too many tricks. Yeah, again, I think this is a super underrated card in this format. It's very, very, very good. It is tedious and difficult to get overall analytics for a game category without with excluding one person. Yeah, that being said, like, Magic's doing fine. Like, Magic is too big to fail, chat. Don't worry about Magic. If Magic doesn't make you happy, just play other things. Runeterra can be plenty successful while Wizards of the Coast and Magic continues to prey on their vulnerable community. There's a lot of gamers out there. And one of the things, and one of the reasons why I think Runeterra has such potential to be a big game is that there's a large untapped card game player base in League of Legends players, and even Hearthstone. Like, you don't need to worry about Hearthstone. Don't worry about how the other games are doing. There are plenty of people out there to enjoy lots of different games. Just play the ones you like. Look at that. Mind Splinter finally got us there.
The heavens rejoice.
I don't even know if the Magic PT experience is ever even going to be the same, right, Karate Dumb? I think there's a real chance we never see Paper Pro Tours again. Obviously, that's speculative. It's also important to remember that, like, you know, as... This is speculation too, but I don't think it's unreasonable to say that as gamers get older, we create more and more card game players. You know, as millennials and zoomers hit boomer reflex APMs, turn-based strategy games as a competitive outlet become more and more appealing, right? Like, as people get older, they're going to be less interested in keeping up with some of those other games, I think. And obviously some people will still play them for the love of it and for the fun, but as far as competitive outlets go, they become less viable for people as they get older, I think. And that could also be a biased opinion because my own personal experience that as I've gotten older, I've enjoyed card games more and like Twitch shooters a lot less. They just passed. I'm gonna roll here.
By my honor, you must die.
Yeah, that's also true too. Old people have played card games for centuries. Am I dropping another threat here? I feel like I am. There we go.
They're out there. I'll spot them.
On guard.
On guard.
Reavers.
Bridge Club switching to Runeterra lobbies, dude. I mean, to a degree, like, you know, millennials. I feel like a lot of people use the word, like, millennial just to mean young people incorrectly, but, like, as an age group, we're gonna get older, right? Like, someday, the youngest millennial is just going to be, you know, in their 40s or 50s or 60s eventually down the line.
I have the scars to prove it.
How dare you? Yeah, the oldest millennials are already in their 40s. I'm talking about like what the youngest will be, right? I'm gonna be 30 in January, chat. I'm so old. Month and a half until I'm 30.
Forever watch.
And for those of you out there that are new to the channel or just learning that I am only 30, my angry demeanor and my thinning hairline are deceiving.
Ask me about dragons.
If it makes you feel better, I've been an angry old man since I was 17. How do you feel about single combating this? I think I'm kind of into it. Uses my mana for the turn.
This will be quick.
I mean, is Rekindler actually that bad here? I need to kill them before they get, what's it called, set up. I think I need to take the Anivia off the table. How do you feel about drawing 2 dragons? I think I'm into it. Rather than losing mana here. Because remember, we can only bring 3 mana across turns. That's super unfortunate. Maybe I'm supposed to gem Fiora there. So they can't open and kill her with the trigger.
We burn, then kindle anew. You and I have been before, haven't we?
If you don't understand that voice line, by the way, there's a Easter egg or dragon egg, depending on how you look at it, in these things' artwork.
Precision and grace. Endless cold. Endless peace. Everything I've worked for. I will be reborn.
I don't. Generations aren't purely a marketing tactic. Generations make sense because they describe a shared experience in general between what people in a given generation had growing up. Well, obviously it's not exact, and people that are 40 right now probably had a little bit different experience than people who are like in their late 20s right now. At the whole, on the average in the middle, like there's definitely something to it there to describe that kind of shared experience between people in a certain bracket. So notable that they only have 8 mana this turn. Ruination costs 9, so they can't sweep the board. They could, I suppose, have Icequake, but that's a card that's not usually played in these control decks.
See the Damascene border from here.
Alright, I would like some eggs for breakfast. We have not leveled Soraka in an hour. I've been following Day 9 for a long time and was tangentially aware of you, but your content is dope once I saw you via host. Well, thanks for dropping in, Vormans. Yeah, Sean's great people. Yeah, that is one thing I will, no matter where Magic ends up at and whether or not I ever come back to playing it or not, the people and other creators that I've met through the game is something that I'll definitely always cherish. A lot of great people. A lot of great trips around the country with Paper Magic. Yeah. I mentioned the other day, I don't know that I'll ever go back to like playing paper tournaments, even if they come back after COVID, but I'm looking forward to traveling a bit. When I've spent time traveling in the past, it was mostly seeing the insides of convention centers. So traveling to some places and seeing more than just convention centers sounds potentially nice. If they have a Harrowing here, we could see, what, 3 Anivias come back from it?
Welcome to the Tipsy Hour.
If so, how do they work in this game? Yeah, so there is an archetype called the Deep in Runeterra that explicitly plays those 2 cards. They're designed to work together, actually. So both of those champions are currently in Runeterra. Hey, well, welcome back to Hoaglandia, Shrek. Glad to have you here. So now I have to decide. They have Ruination mana available. Yeah, like this feels like Ruination bait. The problem is, I feel like I have to bite here because like I don't have enough pressure on board, right? This feels like I feels like I need to play Go Fish here. Because if I play Go Fish and they don't have it, they're kind of dead. So I think we Mind Splitter and cross our fingers. Everybody clinch. Go Fish. Yeah, I don't think. And our deck's kind of mid-rangey. Sometimes your mid-range deck just has to make the control deck have it. I think that happens a little bit less frequently in this game compared to some other games, but still something that happens on occasion. Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I think the possible Ruination was definitely something that could happen there, but I also think we were in a spot where I couldn't just take the pass because I didn't have enough pressure. Sure, but like, just because they have 3 copies doesn't mean they're guaranteed to have it. And like, it's a give and take thing, right? So like, if I play there and they Ruinate, I lose, but if I don't play there, I definitely lose. So the play to win line is to play like they don't potentially have it. Like, just because it's bad for you when they have it doesn't mean you're not supposed to not play around it. Now, I actually don't think it's a tough call. It's a low percentage call. It's a call that, regardless of what we do, we get screwed frequently. But I'm confident the correct play is playing my dragon out there. Yeah, you shouldn't play around cards you can't beat. That was definitely a spot where we just couldn't afford to beat it. Let's try one more with this one before we shift gears and play some Harrowing Elites. I'm watching someone host a big tournament through Smash.gg and it's a complete mess. Yep, there is a reason why I won't touch that site for card game tournaments with the 10-foot pole. Press pick. Alright, so Trundle Tryndamere is usually a Feel the Rush control deck. Dragon's Clutches is really, really great here. Battlefly and Smash are basically the same. They lack like first-party integration tools for card games, basically. They're functional at best. For people who aren't aware, there's a site for Magic called MTG Melee that does like deck list integration and other card game specific stuff that runs really well. It makes it work out pretty elegantly. Hopefully, Runeterra is getting full in-client tournament support before the end of the year for their upcoming seasonal tournament, and hopefully they're going to give third parties access to that as well. You have killed my goat. The question is, do you also have a Vile Feast to kill her?
For the honor of House Laurent.
Laurent.
If they're out there, I'll spot them. The finest blades for my lady.
I need only one to win.
For the homestead.
For the homestead.
I pity you.
I think we just take the hit here, right? And we can let Fiora kill this next turn. I have 2 tricks here, so I can, like, play a 4 and a Sharp Sight. I mean, Oriental isn't that particularly popular either, mister. One of the great things about Runeterra is that it's such a well-balanced game. There's such a diversity of decks that you can be playing that, like, having a bad matchup against one thing isn't a death sentence like it is in some other games.
These old eyes still see far and clear.
Counter and strike.
It's not a terrible draw. The opponent's archetype is also a Ruination deck. Do I play the dragon or do I take the pass here? I'm gonna play the dragon. They're on 8 mana, notably.
King of Trolls coming through.
We're not quite at Ruination mana yet.
I'll knock 'em dead.
Try me. Your move.
So I have Bastion and Sharp Sight here still, which is great. They need, like, Vengeance plus Vile Feast here. Or Vengeance plus Flash Freeze. I guess if they have just Flash Freeze, it's kind of annoying. She still lives at least, though, because the barrier bounces off. Yeah, so that's, like, not an ideal outcome, but it's also, like, eh. This guarantees draws us a Mind Splitter, which is great. We get to bank some spell mana here now. They're going to get to play Ice Pillar to level up Trundle next turn. They notably do not have Feel the Rush mana yet. Needs 12 total.
All lands now. It's good to be the king.
Now, important to note here, Trundle and this both have Overwhelm. So I do need to worry about potentially just getting killed this turn, but probably going to be okay with our combat tricks. I'm just going to pass and see what they do.
I'll knock 'em dead. This is gonna be fun.
Counter and strike.
Do I proactive Bastion here? How do I feel about proactive Bastion? I think I'm into it. Just shields up, play around another Flash Freeze. Everything went much worse than expected, chat. Everything went much worse than expected. I at least get to do this, I suppose. Yikes.
Look out!
That's worse than the worst outcome I could have thought of. Yeah, I agree. Big mood. All right, so thoughts on what was going on here. Soraka feels very challenging to level up in a deck without self-damaging units. I know we're not playing a ton of cards that heal, and we cut Starspring to start, but even in the few games that we played to start where we had Starspring, because we both didn't have units that self-damage and we didn't have a ton of units with high toughness, we just weren't healing consistently, and this card in almost an hour and a half worth of games just never leveled up for us. What was another thought? The Dragon's Clutches package that we added continues to be one that I really like in a variety of decks. Here in this deck today, we ended up playing Screeching Dragon along with Infinite Mind Splinter alongside of it, and that felt pretty good. Just the way, these are some of my favorite designs in Runeterra, these cards that are kind of pseudo-random, but if you build your deck, they're not random, they're actually a tutor like Dragon's Clutches and Babbling Berg. I just absolutely love them, and this was great for that reason. Bastion, that was the other one. This card was just super clunky in that set. Even in that last matchup where, like, the matchup where it should have been at its best, the opponent just, like, had enough Vile Feast and Troll Chance that they blasted through the spell shield on it, and this card ended up just being a mediocre combat trick in a lot of the games that we played that just was overcosted and not quite good enough.